as Nick Lemon makes clear in his contribution for this issue. And what I'm trying to argue is that we have done it for 50 years now in relation to the civil rights movement. The liberations set free in the past 50 years in the world that we don't remind ourselves of, not just in race, not just in gender, not just in gays. The word gay wasn't even invented 50 years ago. It was beyond the imagination of the most visionary liberal. It referred to a crime that dared not speak its name. And now, having set loose all this liberation, what dares not speak its name is the word liberal to claim credit for the things that it set in motion. And conservatives are debating gay marriage versus civil unions, and yet claiming a triumph for conservative politics in resentment against government that made all these things possible. So what I'm trying to argue for you is that this little moment, this little minuet between Kennedy and Martin Luther King about the Emancipation Proclamation should be a wake-up call for us to remember that we don't remember things across racial lines better, that we improve ourselves, that race is the doorway to discovery, but it is profoundly uncomfortable, even today, for most of the dominant culture, to the point that millions of white people voted for Barack Obama, but they voted for Barack Obama on their terms, and one of their terms is that he not talk about race. As this issue says, he's talked about race less than any president in the last 50 years. I think that's no accident, because we are still limited and turning away from the upside of our own history. So what I'm hoping is that this January, 1963, begins a march of 50-year anniversaries that goes forward from now. 1963 and 2013 will be the 50th anniversary of the Birmingham campaign, the dogs and the fire hoses, the death of Medgar Evers, the introduction of the Civil Rights Bill, the March on Washington, the Birmingham church bombing, the Kennedy assassination, the longest filibuster in history in 1964, the 64 Civil Rights Act, and Selma. Most overlooked, the Immigration Reform Act of 1965 in the wake of Selma, which opened up naturalized citizenship to the whole world, repealing a system that had restricted it mostly to the nations of Northern Europe. And Lyndon Johnson said, when he signed it under the Statue of Liberty, never again will the twin barriers of prejudice and privilege shadow the gate to freedom, because it's going to be first come, first serve, and invisibly in the 48 years since, we have communities from all over the world proving that we are not only a pioneer democracy in concept and in evolution, but actually in practice.